Welcome to Motivation and Emotions in Digital Dimensions, a case study. First, we will talk about grand theories, motivational concepts of will, instinct, and drive. Will is within the realm of philosophy. Descartes perceived the will as a fundamental motivational force. He believed that by comprehending the will, he could understand motivation. The will initiated and directed actions, deciding both whether to act and what actions to take. Bodily needs, passions, pleasures, and pains created impulses, but these merely stimulated the will. The will, as a mental faculty, controlled bodily appetites and passions for the sake of virtue and salvation through its power of choice. By attributing all motivational power to the will, philosophers introduced the first comprehensive theory of motivation. Philosophers struggled to comprehend the will, likening it to a perplexing enigma akin to the motivation it purportedly engendered. Rather than unraveling its essence or operational laws, they complicated matters by proliferating the issue they aimed to resolve. Philosophers of will face the daunting task of elucidating not just motivation but also its source, the will itself, effectively doubling the dilemma. Hence, proponents of the nascent field of psychology in the 1870s sought a more tangible motivational principle, eventually finding solace in the concept of instinct, which originated not from philosophy, but from the realms of physiology and biology. Reeve, 2018. In keeping with Plato's free will, Waxman noted, I have adopted multiple online identities designed to develop certain aspects of humanity. The first was under my birth name Kathleen and lasted 5 years. It was designed to share pleasant and healthy living of a Rastafari population to the world through reggae music, morals, and ethics. The second personality was under the pseudonym of an African warrior queen in Jamaican history, Nanny Maroon. This 5-year period allowed me to return to graduate school and better conceptualize how and where Rastafari fits in society. Knowledge. The third and current pseudonym is Libyan. Atia means gift. Within this online persona, I share international insight in keeping with the highest academic, social, and personal values. Archived insights under Kathleen and Nanny's accounts are being retrieved and integrated into modern understanding and analysis of current events. You can see all three nested together in the graphic. My gift to God for the people. Darwin's biological determinism significantly impacted scientific thought in two main ways. First, it introduced the crucial concept of evolution to biology. This shift moved scientists' focus from the mentalistic motivational concepts, like will, to more mechanistic and genetic explanations. Second, Darwin's biological determinism dissolved the distinction between humans and animals that had previously influenced the study of motivation. Darwin introduced the concept of instinct to explain seemingly innate adaptive behaviors. Genes lead animals to behave in certain ways. William James drew extensively from the intellectual environment shaped by Darwin and his contemporaries, attributing humans with a wide range of physical instincts, such as sucking and locomotion, and mental instincts, such as imitation play and sociability. McDougall developed an instinct theory that included instincts such as exploration, fighting, and nurturing offspring. He viewed instincts as irrational, impulsive, and automatic motivational forces that directed individuals toward specific goals. Psychology initially embraced instinct theory enthusiastically, but eventually rejected it entirely. Following the earlier dismissal of the concept of will, psychology then discarded the idea of instinct. This left the field seeking a new motivational concept to account for the driven and purposeful aspects of behavior. Reeve, 2018. Feeling statements attempt to materialize emotion in order to facilitate motivation. This activity hopes to transition irrational instinct, such as feeling, to rational behavior. I feel frustrated and angry when a culture is marginalized. This motivates me to look for a solution. 3 essential components: your feelings, the behavior, and the effect. Notice the transition from Kathleen's Twitter account to Madame Atia's Twitter account. When the discussion is building bridges across cultures, it is important to approach each community using its own language and customs. Libya speaks Arabic. Libyans respect women and speak openly and equitably with them. When I speak as a professional graduate school, I am spoken to with honor and dignity. It's behavior that is absolutely contradictory to typical social media norms, marketing aggression. Social media algorithms are simply being used to monetize violent instincts. The logical conclusion is that this is the dominant American culture. Freud, trained as a physiologist and medical physician, believed that all behavior is motivated and serves to fulfill biologically based body needs. Hull's drive theory introduced a unique aspect previously absent in motivational theories: the ability to predict and manipulate high or low motivation before it occurred. Unlike instincts or willpower, which were unpredictable, drive could be reliably increased by depriving an animal of basic needs like food, water, sex, or sleep. This deprivation directly correlated with an increase in drive, forming a consistent pattern where drive rose in proportion to the duration of deprivation. Reeve, 2018. Consistent with Hull's theory of drive is the development of militias in Libya. Honestly, it seems like people being made to suffer are then being extorted to violence for survival. Quote, all that was needed to translate an instinct into an impulse for action was the presence of an appropriate stimulus, unquote. Reeve, 2018, page 27. Libya is under guardianship under Resolution 1973. Good Libby, 2024, private conversation. Does not even have control over the media. The UN has also authorized the United States to freeze revenues. According to Madame Attia, 2024, there are sanctions and political maneuvering. Politicians in a struggling economy are being asked to support a democratic process that could cost their jobs in light of elections that could replace them. Libya calls it a state of manufactured creative chaos. Maybe the constructs are capacity within and willingness to engage the social media process for community development. I am bringing people into the conversation on the back of desperation. Privacy is taking the backseat to cultivating cultural comprehensions. Now we will discuss mini-theories. These are historical trends that include the active nature of the person, cognitive revolution, and socially relevant questions. We also touch on curating creative and compelling content. Don't get it confused. What I share online is as much fact as fiction. It's social media. We are making good stuff up as we go so that we can best control what the algorithms feed us. Why? Because social media influences society. Fisher, 2023. Initially, concepts like drive were seen as the driving force behind behavior, focusing on motivating individuals to act. However, psychologists later shifted their perspective, believing that people were inherently active and constantly engaged in activities, diminishing the need for external motivation. By 1964, passive-focused interpretations outnumbered active ones significantly. Nevertheless, theories emphasizing an active individual started to gain traction. The active nature of the person theory highlights individuals' proactive role in shaping their motivation and behavior. It proposes that people aren't merely influenced by external factors, but actively interact with their surroundings, goals, and values to guide their actions and achieve desired results. This theory's cultural relevance stems from its acknowledgement of individual agency and autonomy across different cultural settings. It underscores how people across various cultures actively navigate their motivations and goals, showcasing the universal aspect of human agency amidst cultural diversity. I have a husband who is an Islamic imam from rural Africa and is so fundamentally culturally different from me that we don't exist for each other. This is not a unique dynamic. We had to use my personal DJ to mediate almost everything. This is Poppies. The transition from behaviorism to cognitive psychology marked the cognitive revolution, highlighting the significance of thought processes such as beliefs, expectations, and goals in shaping behavior. This shift had significant implications for the study of motivation in three key ways. First, motivational concepts took a backseat to cognitive interpretations, with motivation initially considered unnecessary within a cognitive framework. Second, even motivation researchers began prioritizing internal mental processes over biological and environmental factors. Finally, psychology adopted a more human-centered perspective, moving away from mechanistic views of human behavior. Concurrently, the humanistic movement critiqued existing motivation theories for lacking a humanistic approach. Reeve, 2018. The cognitive revolution within motivation theory represented a major departure from behavioral perspectives, emphasizing the role of internal cognitive processes like thoughts and beliefs in shaping motivation and behavior. This transition particularly resonated in individual cultures, influencing individuals' cognitive frameworks, attributions, and self-conceptions, subsequently impacting their motivations and actions. Researchers and practitioners can tailor interventions to diverse cultural contexts by understanding how cultural narratives and symbols inform individuals' understanding of the world and drive their belief. Al Libby's narrative provides a vivid example. It's very simple. The absence of the law and the dominance of tribalism, and even money. Dominating the ignorant and deviants with external support. Ignorance and the sedition of systemic chaos supported. Feeding the obsession with power, water, and weapons, controls, and no legalization. Reviving tribal tensions with external support led by foreign ambassadors. Reviving obsessive-compulsive disorders, marginalization, and inferiority. A systematic weapon for natural auspical differences. And last but not least, sickness, or more accurately, impoverishment, which negatively affects the emergence of all destructive behaviors. All of these reasons, if all or some of them are present in an ignorant, dependent, tribal, rentier society with a moral, scientific culture, the result will be complete chaos, as is the case in my country, Libya. Motivation researchers have increasingly turned their attention towards practical and socially significant issues and inquiries. This shift has led to greater collaboration between motivation psychologists and experts in fields such as social psychology, industrial organizational psychology, clinical psychology, and counseling psychology. Aspects of motivation are now integrated into various subfields like social psychology, personality, and educational psychology. This interdisciplinary approach recognizes that questions regarding motivation are pertinent to almost all areas of psychology due to their broad theoretical implications and real-world applications. Today's motivation researchers may come from diverse backgrounds such as social psychology, health psychology, or educational psychology, reflecting the interdisciplinary nature of contemporary motivation research. The focus of modern research extends beyond theoretical exploration to include practical applications aimed at enhancing people's lives. Reeve, 2018. The theory of social relevant questions in motivation theory underscores the significance of the social-cultural milieu in which individuals are situated when crafting research inquiries and interpreting results. This approach acknowledges that culture plays a pivotal role in shaping people's values, beliefs, and actions. Thus, research inquiries should address issues that hold significance within specific cultural frameworks. By formulating research questions around culturally pertinent topics, motivation researchers can gain insights into how cultural values influence individuals' motivations and behaviors. Such inquiries take into consideration social norms and expectations, offering valuable insights into how individuals adhere to and navigate cultural standards in their pursuit of goals. Exploring themes related to cultural identity, like ethnic identity or acculturation, sheds light on how individuals' cultural backgrounds impact their motivations and actions. By delving into topics that are meaningful within specific cultural contexts, researchers demonstrate respect for the cultures they study and contribute to positive social change. Additionally, by focusing on universally resonant topics, researchers can uncover both commonalities and variations in motivational processes across cultures, fostering a deeper understanding of human behavior on a global scale. A universally relevant topic that comes up repeatedly: feed me. Here's Libya's take on the situation after years of living with little to no salaries. We saved dried food before we tasted it. Weaned by the afternoon, living on a disappointing income. The research question then becomes, what does it take for countries to shift money from offensive weapons to food? Seriously, Munger 2006 says, and I quote, "If terrorists allow themselves to be recruited to gain access to club goods, then the strategy must be the disruption of social networks that credibly guarantee access to those club goods." Now, how does this work when those goods are simply food and water, stuff needed for survival? Is this justification for potentially lethal, highly questionable software? Soft war. How does anybody expect to win loyalty like this? Silk 2006 says that you convert terrorists by offering them a healthy and safe lifestyle. I'm going to go back to instinct. Generally, people don't naturally gravitate toward violent situations. Where is the motivation to choose good? Which option feels better in the here and now? Finally, we will consider the contemporary era, motivation and emotion. Motivation research has evolved through three main paradigms: will, instinct, and drive, each eventually proving too restrictive for further advancement. Currently, the field is in a phase of many theories, recognizing the complexity of motivation. This topic remains crucial across psychology, leading researchers to collaborate across disciplines. Reeve 2018. During collaboration, consider how using each race's self-selected words in the literature illustrates the concept of equality to the students, and equality then becomes the attitude that moves to intention and ultimately behavior. Alhuthey 2016. This leads to a brief conversation about Libyan tribes, wherein I express curiosity about their names. I learned that tribal culture differs slightly as they merge with the Arab tribes and those who live in the desert. Some Amazigh, Berbers, and Tebu assimilated with the Arab tribes. How many Arab tribes are there in Libya? He replies, I don't know. Let me see if I'm following correctly. The Amazigh are in Tripoli, the Berbers are in Cyrenaica, and the Tebu are in Fezzan? Yes, he says. Truthfully, there are many. People of Libya, no date, ventures some explanation into the tribal complexity. Here's what a gathering of one looks like today. And no, I don't understand what they're saying, but I can feel the motivation to recover their lost one. Emotions transcend language comprehension.
نحن مشائخ وأعيان وشباب وأبناء قبيلة الترسا في غمرة احتفالنا بالذكرى العاشرة لثورة الكرامة. تتفاجأ مدينة بنغازي وقبيلة الترسا بشأن اختطاف ابن بنغازي وابن الترسا عضو مجلس النواب سيادة النائب إبراهيم الترسي يوم الخميس 16/5/2024 بعد الاعتداء على منزله وعدم تحديد مصيره حتى الآن. تحتف قبيلة الترسا على مجلس النواب رئاسة وأعضاء لعدم إبداء أي موقف بشأن زميلهم وعضو مجلس النواب النائب إبراهيم الترسي. عليه قبيلة الترسا تناشد القيادة العامة والقائد العام بالتدخل بشكل شخصي للإشراف على مجريات التحقيق وإرجاع عضو مجلس النواب النائب إبراهيم الترسي وإرجاعه إلى أهله وذويه سالما غانما.
This is a contemporary emotion segue. Tedega 2024 explains how it's crucial to recognize how technology facilitates the expression and management of emotions, as it significantly impacts how students learn, teach, communicate, and form social connections in today's digital era. Learning to identify feelings when listening and seeing information is social media. The last video may have had more vocalizing, but the stationary movement of so many men in traditional Islamic gowns probably had the greater emotional impact, especially in Western communities. Descartes introduced the concept of passion in his work, The Passions of the Soul, defining it as an intense emotional upheaval accompanied by vigorous bodily reactions. He described how external events could trigger these passionate responses, transitioning an individual from a passive state to one of intense emotion, which today would be termed as an emotion. These passionate reactions could be provoked by people, objects, or events. Early theorists believe there were only a few distinct emotions corresponding to specific physiological patterns. However, later theorists like Stanley Schachter argued that physiological arousal was a general state, requiring environmental cues to interpret specific emotional reactions. What is the difference between emotion and mood? Reeve 2018. Answer: behavior. I discovered that last year while studying about bipolar symptoms. Feelings are internal experiences. Mood comes with external dysfunction. The key to recovery is monitoring behavior. This leaves us with a ceremony showcasing a Libyan leader who is successfully walking the line between Russia and the USA. That's another story for another day. Right now, just look. Tribal mentality, ignorance, impoverishment, and feelings of inferiority are active elements for the establishment of a forest society. What I mean by the forest society is a society of chaos and lawlessness, society of rule of the dominant, and I do not mean the subject of forests. Our Arabic language is a language of synonyms. It is difficult. Al-Libi 2024. Education and psychology are within our reach. We want to uplift and reinforce tribal traditions while educating on the values and risks of alternatives. Online resources can bring basic education activities to a few key stakeholders who own phones and can afford to access the internet. These lessons are then taught to the masses in layers, parents and sheiks first. Until the United Nations releases its stranglehold on revenues and corruption falls within reasonable limits, people will be impoverished. We must work with what authorities allow. It is possible to learn and grow despite being famished. It's not a long-term solution to health and vitality. It's a start. In the meantime, psychological therapy can help alleviate feelings of inferiority. Part of this goes back to the beginning, uplifting cultures. Celebrate with me in Libya as we build a new bridge. Yes, I know. My husband, a Sheikh Imam in rural Africa, cannot understand me. Trying to sell education and psychology to hungry tribes may not be reasonable. And with shallow platitudes and emotional bandages being all the more the United States can offer, China does look better by the minute. We must find a way to improve this situation. Let me see what I can find when I plug culture into my Kindle search in Gross and Miesel's 2017 software. In today's 24/7 media and internet culture, airstrikes, artillery barrages, and infantry maneuvers are accompanied by equally intense debates in the media about the legality and legitimacy of military action. With the involvement of international, regional, and national courts, commissions of inquiry, and perhaps most important of all, the court of world opinion, the battle of words is as important as military capabilities. Yes, I know it's out of context. It's Israel and we're talking about Libya, but it is a relevant segue illustrating pure truth in social media storytelling using emotions to motivate action. Madame Adia, 2024, May 27th. This is what we do as premier online instructional designers. Call it a footnote that rocks the world.